Hi, this is Bill Messick from MessickStove on YouTube and MessickStove.com. Today I want to do a little video and show you what I call a creosote dry out or dry out. It's not a burnout. We're not burning creosote or forcing the stovepipe or the chimney to catch fire. We're not doing that. Okay, it's called a dry out, meaning that we're going to get the temperatures of the exhaust higher or at a greater temperature to dry out any existing creosote that may be attached to your chimney system or the stovepipe. And this happens just by making the temperature hotter, basically. So this is a DNS machine, EnergyMax Extreme 160. You've probably seen some other videos me talking about it. There is other models that DNS machine stove makes that also burns wood. Okay, that has a stove damper on it, and this is how we're going to be able to do this. The stove damper itself on the EnergyMax 160 here we're looking at is, as far as I'm concerned, on any stove and most stoves, is a very important part, and especially in the EnergyMax 160. It does a lot of different things, and the biggest thing is it keeps your heat and exhaust from going directly straight out on the EnergyMax 160 out the stovepipe and into the chimney, but brings it down to the bottom of the stove and back up. There's some other videos talking about that. Also, what the EnergyMax 160 stove with the stove damper on it is that this particular process that I'm about to do is going to be shown here. Is going to be really easy with the stove damper, and right now I'll do some readings of the stovepipe and the stove before I get started, and then through the process here. So this is how it's going to start out. I just want to talk about it a little bit, and because once I walk away from the camera, and I'm going to be a little bit of a distance away from the camera, it's going to be hard for me to talk without talking really loud. So I just want to get together here and talk a little bit before I actually do it. The process is very simple. It's very easy. It doesn't take that long. And most cases I tell people you can do it, like it's in the morning or in the evening, however your schedule is, or wherever midday, you can do it anytime you want. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll come down in the morning, first thing in the morning, and the stove will be low, of course. It needs to be refueled, so I need to load it with some more wood. And what I do is take the wood, and you see there's 3 pieces there on the floor. They're oak, by the way. They're a little short. I normally do like a 22-inch log, but I do have some wood that's probably cut like 16 inches, and I'm going to use those. And the reason I'm telling you that is because the stove can take a 22-inch log, okay? And the way I believe, if your stove can take a 22-inch log, cut your logs 22 inches long, and then put them in that particular stove. You're using more of the firebox. Okay. Now, if you have smaller logs and you can stack them all in there, but a lot of times what happens if you got a 18-inch log or 16-inch log, you throw it in there, you got space either in the back or in the front. And in this case, what's going to happen is you're just not getting the full potential or the full volume of the firebox full. So now remember, this is a DNS machine stove, EnergyMax 160. It will burn coal as well. If you're burning coal, you will not have to do a creosote dry out. Anthracite coal will not create the creosote, so we don't have that issue. This is basically for all wood burners, anybody that burns wood, and especially with the DNS machine products. I like to educate people on the product, as well as to help them out, because there's a lot of things, little tricks and little tips that kind of help people out, that makes life a little easier for everybody that has one. And they're great stoves, by the way. It's unbelievable of how, if you talk to me on the phone or even in the videos, you'll probably know for a fact that I really, really strongly believe in the DNS machine products. So I just want to get that out there and let people know. I can't say anything other than basically positive things. And I'm not saying that because I sell them. The reason I sell them is because they're a great product. is the easiest way to explain that. So the wood burning process here, what we're going to do is we're going to open up the stove damper at the top, which you'll see me walk over to the stove here in a little bit, open the top up, and then I'm going to wait a few seconds, and then I'm going to open up the loading door. Now, you can open the ash door if you want before you open the loading door, get a little more draft through there. In this case, it's not going to make much of a difference, excuse me there, because there's just hot coals in the stove. You can see the temperature of the stove's coming down. The exhaust is already kind of low, and the stove needs to be refueled. So this is when the best time to do it is when you're getting ready to refuel the stove. And do not fill the stove up if you want to, but be my guess. But you're going to be really, really disappointed that you did, because you're going to create a lot of temperatures and a long, really hot, long fire. So this is the way I do it, and this is the way it seems to be the most safest way to do it, and the easiest way to control the fire. Remember, we want to control. The purpose of having the wood stove, okay, is able to control the fire so we can get the heat our home. And it's the same concept here. We want to be able to control the fire, okay, to do the burnout bait. Not a burnout, dry out. I do apologize. That word gets used a lot and it's kind of stuck in my head, but it's not a burnout. It is a dry out. Okay. What we're going to do is I'm going to open that up, open the stove damper at the top, wait a little bit, open the loading door. I'm going to throw the 3 logs that you see, split logs that you see in front of the stove there, into the firebox. I'm going to close the loading door. Okay, maybe just to get things started, I might open up the ash door. But on the side of the stove of the Energy 160, there's a dial, okay, for air intake. I have it set right now at the running temperature that I want it at, on the number that I usually run at. So I'm going to open that all the way up, okay. And once that gets going a little bit, then we'll close the ash door if I open the ash door. You don't have to open the ash door to do this. This is what's very safe about this whole setup, is that you'll be able to throw the wood in there, close the loading door. You're going to leave the stove damper open, that handle knob all the way out. You're going to leave it all the way out, okay? Just take the dial. You can turn the dial all the way up to highest opening, and then basically walk away. You're going to go get a shower in the morning, or if it's in the evening, you're going to go get your breakfast or do whatever you want. You got anywhere between 45 minutes and an hour for this thing to do its little thing, okay? It could be half an hour depending on how you set up. If you want to put, an extra log. But be careful, you don't want to overload the stove, okay? I know I'm telling you, if you want to, that's up to you, but I don't recommend it, okay? I want to control the temperature, okay, now, and control my fire. Once I do this, the temperature of my stovepipe is going to get hot. Once the fire starts catching, the heat's going to go directly out. We're going to dry out the creosote inside the stovepipe and inside the chimney system, okay? And if you go outside, there's a good possibility you'll even probably smell a slight creosote smell. Not, that it's being broken down or being, dried out basically. So that's a good thing if you're smelling that. It means you're taking care of that. And remember, this is not a chimney fire. We're not trying to start a chimney fire here. We are not trying to do a burnout. Meaning we're not trying to ignite the creosote. All right. Now this is the important part. That's very, very important in running these stoves and doing what I'm doing. I'm going to leave the stove damper open the whole time until the stovepipe temperature comes back down, okay? I don't want the stovepipe temperature high when I go to shut it down, okay? And the reason being is that if I got the wood in there and I got the stovepipe really hot, the creosotes, there's creosote lined in my pipe there and in my chimney liner and my chimney. So what I'm going to do is, if I got really hot temperatures and then I take and close that stove damper down and even shut the stove down, try to close the stove down, the stove, okay, itself is going to come, the temperature is going to come down. We're not concerned about the stove. What we're concerned about is actually the chimney, the stove pipe that you see coming off the stove and going into the chimney. Okay, now what happens is, if we shut that thing off, let's say I got temperatures 400, 300 degrees going out my stovepipe, and I shut it down instantly, and I got creosote inside that stovepipe, And what's going to happen, it's going to starve for oxygen. It's going to suck. It's going to vacuum like a straw. It's going to suck really hard, okay? And when it does, the inside of the stovepipe and in your chimney is like the tip of a cigarette butt, okay? It's going to, when you suck in, it lights up, glows. That's what will happen to the creosote inside your stovepipe and your chimney system, okay? And when that happens, that's how the chimney fire starts, okay? That's what's going to ignite. It's going to ignite the creosote, and it's going to, boom, it's going to take off, and then it's going to catch fire. We do not want that to happen, okay? So this is why I'm saying, you're going to put your wood in there, leave the stove damper open, turn your dial up, and you're going to walk away. The wood will burn up to a high temperature. Your exhaust will work its way up slowly to a higher temperature, and then you're going to let that temperature of your stovepipe come back down to a normal temperature, a little lower temperature, okay? And once it does that, basically you'll open the stove back up. It'll be time to reload it again. That's what you're doing. You'll get it back down to a small amount of hot coals, okay? Your stove should be nice and hot. You'll throw your wood in it, okay? You'll pack it up for the day. You push the stove damper back in, okay? Because you're done. As long as the temperature comes down, you push that back in, you close the loading door. I may leave the dial open on high a little bit for a little while to get it going, or I might just open the ash door up, get the fire going in there, burning pretty good. And once we get to that point, then I'll close the ash door and bring my dial back to my running temperature, and I'll walk away, and the fire will burn, the rest of the day. So, and this is the process. I want to make sure this video is a little long. It's a little lengthy in me talking, so it sounds like we're going to do probably a part 2 of the process. But I want to make sure that you guys understand, because people just do things just because they see it and they just do it. Okay, so I want to educate people in the process and what to do and what not to do, and I want to educate you in what to do and why we're doing it this way, and also what not to do and why not to do it that way, which basically we've covered already. So remember, it's a dry out, not a burnout. I do not recommend anybody to try to force their chimney to catch on fire. Okay, I've been around a lot of times. There's a lot of people I've talked to, so yeah, I forced mine to go into a burnout. I actually catch it on fire so I can burn all that creosote out, so it'll be nice and clean and safe. Well, a chimney fire is not safe, so how is that safe to do that? It's not safe. So do not do it. We're not trying to catch your stovepipe or your chimney with the creosote inside of it on fire. Okay, just remember, that's not what we're trying to do. Okay, so here shortly, I'm watching the time here, and it looks like we're getting a little lengthy. That's the whole process, and I'm probably going to do a part 2 here to tag along with this to make it a little easier. And I will probably repeat myself a few times in the process in the part 2, just in case someone actually picks up part 2 and doesn't see part 1 and just wants to jump to the gun, and that way we'll actually make sure everybody's safe. And that's the biggest thing. We want to make sure it's safe. The purpose of doing this is to also make your chimney safe as well, and that means that your house, your home, your family will be safe as well. Okay, that's the most important thing we're trying to do here, is keep everybody safe, and the process of doing the dry out is also to make it safe. Okay, this is Bill Messick from MessickStove on YouTube and MessickStove.com. I'll be back with part 2 here shortly, and I'll show you what the whole process is, and do a little talking while we're doing it. And other than that, it's pretty much it. You'll see how easy it is. I'm probably going to have to stop it at some point, because there's no sense letting it run forever just to doing a burn. And then I'll come back and probably explain to you how it works. All right? Thank you so much. This is Bill from MessickStove. Talk to you soon. Thank you.